screen and pretend like we're starting from scratch. This is where I do my editing. Welcome to everyone who is here with us or watching this as a recording. This is it. This is what you guys all want to dive right into, right? Which is appointment setting. And I have to say at the beginning, and I'm going to show you why I scored a lot of appointments really early and how I continue to set a lot of appointments really quickly. But appointment setting 101, we're getting this done here. But you got to go back to your vision, where it all begins. And be careful, guys, what you wish for. Because I have to say, I did always say that I was going to someday speak on a Market America stage. And look at me here. I said I was going to be a director. You got to be careful what you put out there to the universe. Now, I am very proud to be the director of sales. For you guys who don't know me, Sarah Tugender, director of sales for the nutraMetrix division. And at the time of this recording, we're in April of 2020. In just a few short weeks, I'm going to celebrate 14 years with nutraMetrix. And I'm so happy I chose to pursue my passion working in healthcare. And I knew I wanted healthcare to be a little bit different. I always knew that. And for me, I remember growing up, and we used to, when my dad worked overnights, we used to go ahead and bring him dinner. And I remember passing the dinner to him through the window. He'd come and meet us in the back parking lot. And then I'd yell to him, because, I mean, your parents are like your superheroes, right? And I'd say, "Do Superman, Dad, do Superman." And he'd flip up his lab coat and run back into the building. As my dad at that time was in his residency. When we were doing this, I was just 8 years old, and Dad would sacrifice, nights and weekends. And he used to pick up as many call shifts as he could for some extra money. At that time, he had 3 kids he was also supporting. And, you don't make a whole lot of money as a resident. And that was the time that I got to see Dad, was just that interaction through the back seat, looking out the window, him giving me a kiss while I was buckled in back there. And that was it. That would be the time I could spend with him that weekend. And so I knew that I knew it was about income. I knew why my dad took those extra shifts. I knew why my dad was ROTC Army Reserve. It was to go ahead and to pay for the insurmountable debt that you get yourself into with a professional degree like that. The year I went to college was the year my parents stopped paying off their own student loans. And so for me, it really was to help my dad get some extra income coming in, because I knew that feeling when I was a teenager on the volleyball court in the middle of the game and looking in the gymnasium, the back doors, to see if my dad was going to walk in, to see if he was going to make it, to see if his surgery didn't go as long as he thought it was going to go. To make sure he could always be there. My mom was always there. My mom, even though she also had a professional degree and worked from home, had a little bit more flexibility. But Dad didn't. And so I just always thought it was, if we got a little bit more money, then maybe I could get a little bit more time with my dad. And now I think about all those other kids with parents who are in healthcare and all the time they're spending, and saying, if I can help their parents get a little bit more time with a little bit more revenue, how special that would be. And, before you can ask for what you need, you really need to know what you need. You need to know your why. And people do business with you because of your why, not because of your what. It's not what you have. And I promise you guys, it's like the 7 degrees to Kevin Bacon. Have you guys ever heard that, right? That we're all connected by 7 people to the movie star Kevin Bacon. The people are finite. I mean, it's like, it's your holiday card list. It's whoever came to your wedding. It's all the people that, I remember I made a list when I was having my last baby, and all the people I needed to call that he was here, that I was in the hospital. Your core group. But it's, who do you know who they know? And that's infinite. And we think about the people that again, who went to your wedding, that you'd have a cocktail with, that you'd celebrate a special event with, that were important to you when you went to college, when you were in school, when you were growing up, your neighbors, family, friends. And you just think about all those people. And this is what really got me, especially in the beginning, to book so many appointments so quickly. And I call it my Girl Scout cookie approach, okay? I don't know if anyone here either was a Girl Scout or knows a Girl Scout, but you know when Girl Scout cookie season comes around, those little Girl Scouts, they call you up, right? And I didn't say when I think I was only a Girl Scout for 1 or 2 years, but I didn't call up like my aunt and say, Auntie, do you know anyone who might know anyone who may or may not want to think about if they want some Thin Mints this year? No big deal. I mean, we could just talk about Thin Mints, the features and benefits of a Thin Mint for a couple minutes, and that would be fine. No. That's not how you sell a box of Thin Mints. You call it, hey, Auntie, can you help me out? I have 20 boxes of Thin Mints to sell. How many do you want? And you're really direct, and you start with asking for help. You ask for what you need and just ask it directly. And so I knew that I wanted to be a certified nutraMetrix consultant. And to do so, I needed to bring on board 2 practices and submit evaluations. So I went to my Rolodex. I knew a few professionals who I could call, a couple friends who also had parents who were practitioners. I knew a couple of my dad's colleagues, some guys in the neighborhood, but there were other people too. Like I went to my hairdresser and said, can you help me? I need to get in front of health professionals. Who do you know who's a massage therapist? Who do you know who's a chiropractor? Do you go to a physical therapist? I see you wear glasses. Do you know an eye doctor? Could you help me out? Could you make a connection? And when you're really direct and you ask for help. So I like to say I'm working in the health and wellness industry as a consultant, building my business. I respect your opinion. I always edify them. I always say why. They're well connected. They're bubbly. They're energetic. When can we sit down and chat so I can show you what I'm doing to see if you can help me and point me in the right direction? Is Tuesday or Thursday better for you? We can sit down to chat. We can jump on a phone call. I can share some concepts with you. I'm really direct, Tuesday or Thursday. Now, you might be on one of our trainers 101s or 201s in the next upcoming weeks. I'm going to say, I just got done with a training course in the healthcare industry. You would have loved it. I wish you were there. I was thinking of you the whole time. When can we set aside 10 minutes so we can chat? I just need to show you what I'm doing. It would be right up your alley. Is Tuesday or Thursday better for you? I really just love saying that I'm thinking of them. I have lots of ways to do this, especially on social media. So I hope you guys go to the official NC training channel. If you type in social media, I have a whole playlist with social media tips and tricks and how to use social media for your business. So I'm going to let you go there for those. And for this, I'm going to mostly focus on, in person, going into offices that we'll throw in a little bit of meeting online. But I could tell you that social media, I am not going to tell you to make a list of 50 pages and 50 people and just go through and direct message people every single day and say, I have something, it's really hot, here's a webinar link, check this out, you need to hear about this. It is not to pounce on people with business or products. Harvard studies have shown that the more questions that you ask, people feel that you're more engaged. Ask a lot of questions. Private message people, because it does help with the algorithms. Your posts will then show up in their social media feeds. Always post things that add value. Always post things that are positive. Really try not to, rock the boat one way or another too much. And create conversations. Create things that people want to talk about. Ask some questions in your posts as well. Really curiosity marketing, attraction marketing, but I can say you need to be consistent. I really think targeting pages, what you don't know if you don't have a business page on Facebook, is that they keep bugging you. If you private message a page, Facebook will bug the owner of that page to say, there's a message, your rating's going to go down. They actually put on there how responsive you are. They want pages to be responsive. And so I find when I message Facebook business pages of health providers, they do get back to me. send direct messages, join some groups, make some friends, put out some things like lead magnets. We have great tools. We have videos. We have, weight loss profiles. We have nutraphysicals, quizzes. People love a good quiz, and that gets them onto your site. That gets them engaging with you. You have to remember that in nutraMetrix, you're a consultant. You're not a salesperson. And what's the difference is that when you're a consultant, you're going to listen. You're going to ask a lot of questions. Salespeople talk and present. I don't know if you guys have ever been invited into one of those timeshare presentations, but you sit down and they talk at you. That's all it is. They're not really asking you so much about your wants, your needs, your desires, your future, where you're going, where you're headed. And that's what we do as a nutraMetrix consultant. We're designing something that's customizable. This isn't cookie cutter. And I've even tried on, things like Zooms and group platforms and conference calls to see if I can en masse get, providers to register accounts all at the same time. And it's never worked for me. Because it's all so personalized and customized. We really create some programs, founded in wellness to help support the needs that they have for their patients, while at the same time adding the ancillary revenue that they so desperately really need to their practice. So whether you're calling a referral, talking to someone or walking into an office, the one thing that you really need to have is a good attitude. I promise you, if you forget everything else, even if you lock your car keys in your car, a good attitude and the right mindset is going to get you so far. And it's not about what we have. It's really all about them. Do they need wellness solutions? Do they need ancillary revenue? Do they need, are patients asking them for a clinically supported weight loss program? I was talking to a dentist about that today. About, how there's a lot of patients she can't support until they lose weight. How she's getting asked about wellness alternatives. You really never know what you're going to present to someone until you know a little bit more about them. What I can tell you is if you're a patient and you're going in for your annual exam, don't take that time to start spewing all the knowledge you know about nutraMetrix. If you really want to reach out to your provider and you happen to have an appointment, and that's when you want to go in, I've at the end of the appointment said to the provider, listen, I have something non-medical. It's actually business related. I keep thinking about you. I think it would be up your alley. What's the best protocol to book just a 15-minute non-medical appointment? Do you handle your own personal schedule, or should I go back to Barbara at the front desk? That's usually what I say. What if your uncle is a primary care doctor? What if it's your best friend growing up and she happens to be a physical therapist? Sometimes family and friends have a hard time seeing you as something other than, the way that you were in high school. Oh, the little nephew, you were always so cute, right? You used to run around with a diaper on, and they never can get that picture of you out of their head. So don't really take it personally if they kind of poo-poo what you're doing. If you get referred by a friend or a health professional, the one thing I have to say is you better follow up on those leads. If you get a lead, you have to follow up on it. And always say, oh my gosh, I was just talking to Aunt Susan, and she was telling me about her, her eye doctor that she's just raving about. She referred me to you. When is a good time for us to, spend 15 minutes? It sounds like Aunt Susan really wants us to connect. What's good for you? I can tell you when a health professional refers you to another health professional, you've got some momentum building. That's a really great sign. Now, if I'm going to pick up the phone, and this is going to be a warm call, I'm going to start with saying I'm a nutraMetrix consultant and how I'm connected through the referral, through the friend, whatever it is. And then I'm going to pick something that I specialize in. I mean, I've now for almost 15 years designed weight loss programs for medical practices. That's really how I started my first couple accounts. And so that's something I talk about. But maybe, you want to talk about GeneSnap. Maybe you want to talk about revenue generating solutions. Just pick whatever theme you're the most comfortable with. Talk in themes. And then be very specific about what you're looking for and what you need help with. The more specific you are, the better. You know, are you looking for, I typically will use, number 2, to find out what's the procedure for setting an appointment with whoever's in charge of evaluating revenue generating programs for the office. You go straight for the discovery meeting. Might take a couple calls, a little bit of navigation. You have to remember, especially if you're calling, they're just used to picking up the phone and booking appointments. Booking appointments, hearing from patients. All of a sudden, you've knocked someone out of their routine. It takes a lot of brain power for them. They don't know what to do with you. They're trying to put you in a bucket. Are you a salesperson? Do you know the provider? What are you doing? Is this okay? And their job is to block you from the person. Don't worry. Even professional salespeople, these are statistics. The first ones are kind of sad. That almost half of the people just give up after the first call. That was hard. They didn't have time. We didn't make that appointment right away. 25% of people make a second call and stop, 12% make 3, and 10% make more than 3 contacts. But if you look at where all the sales are made, 80% of the sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. I've done this before where I've had note cards with all my hotter candidates, prospective accounts, and I'll tally mark all the different times that we try to connect. And only will I crumple them up and toss them in the trash when I really know that I've hit 12 contacts. You try to hit 12 contacts. All right, cold calling does not need to be a scary movie. And I don't cold call. I really don't. I, in my mind, make friends with these people. I've researched them so much that I think we're best friends by the time we get on the phone. I just talked to someone, she was a referral, but I talked to her for the first time yesterday. And the first thing that I do, and if I was going into the office, the first thing is first impressions, and the way that you look do make a huge difference. So, you want to go ahead and make sure that you look professional, business casual or above. Do I always wear high heels? No. I try to just look not like I just came from the gym, not like I was just playing with the kids. If you're in doubt, take a tip from pharma. But the other thing is now we're doing a lot of Zooms. I try to make sure my lighting is good, try to make sure they're not looking up my nose on the camera. Practice with a friend. Ask people what it looks like. Ask people, where you should set up in your home. Make sure it's quiet and you don't have kids like coming on in and interrupting what you're doing, especially if it's just 15 minutes. You should be able to do that. I think it's great too to pair up. And if you're going into an office, knowing your strengths and celebrating your weaknesses, pairing up with someone who compliments you. And it's not just about appearance, it's really about the energy. That other person's going to be a second set of ears, which is really important. You might be so nervous, it's hard for you to take notes. It's hard for you to know what the next thing is to say. And I do a lot of meeting people now on Facebook Messenger or email or, finding a phone number, making a phone call. So if virtual, I always try, if I can, to leave a personal voice memo or even a video. If you're brave enough, leave a video. One of my last health professionals that I brought into my organization, that's what I did on Facebook Messenger. I was in the middle of getting my hair done. My hairdresser said, "Do you know the massage therapist up the street? I think you guys would really get along." And I was like, "I don't." So I was right there. My hairdresser, Randy, was behind me. I put the video camera on both of us and I said, "Hey, Laurie, this is Sarah and Randy saying we should meet. What works for you? Obviously, I'm in the middle of getting my hair done, so let me know a good time. We'll set something up and we'll meet." And that's what happened. It took about 6 months and she ended up opening up an account. Just be brave, be you, be bold. And that's, what's really great. I'm not the person that's always gonna, have the Excel spreadsheet and know where we are in the implementation process. I like to bring someone else along board with me to help me and keep me on track. You might have one person that's more of an extrovert, one person that's more of an introvert, one person who has more product knowledge, one person who knows more about the internet. You might even want to buddy up with people that aren't financially linked to you. That other person really is going to come to the table so much calmer because they don't have any vested interest. That's why we love it corporate to get on calls with you guys. I'm not as committed to the outcome as you are. I really can listen. I'm calm, I'm cool, I'm collected. I'm always trying to bring people on as soon as possible. Third-party credibility, get them on the phone as soon as I can. Make it a game. Don't make this scary. Challenge yourself to get 10 no's. You know, if you're having fun, it's never going to feel like work. Just keep going and keep going. If you don't know them, you know, when we get into an office, absorb the room, the decorations, see what they have out, you know, how busy it is. Do the same thing if you're meeting someone on a Zoom. You know, what can you observe? What can you see? Oh, I love your table in the back. That's really great. Where did you get it? You know, provide the warmest, sincerest smile. Look at the camera. If you're in person, make eye contact. And if you're walking into an office, the person that's in the front, you don't know if it's the receptionist, the medical assistant, the wife, the husband. You don't know who you're talking to. Could be the health provider themselves. Always get their name, incorporate their name into the conversation. Try to remember their name. Maybe the other person that's with you can write down the name. That's why it's always nice to have a second person. Introduce yourself. Identify yourself as a nutraMetrix consultant. I don't hide that about myself. And find something to compliment them. You know, if the gatekeeper returns a smile and seems interested, you know, go ahead. Keep engaging in conversation. If not, just get to why you're there. You have no idea what's going on in people's lives. You have no idea if the last person that came in, they had to tell them, you know, a terrible diagnosis. You don't know if there's something crazy going on in the office that day. Sometimes there's just weird energy. And there's a lot going on in medical practices, a real lot going on. You don't know if they're behind that day. You don't know, you know, it could be a number of things. So that's why I think, especially in healthcare sales, you have to make sure that you stay consistent and you stay on top of and you connect again a few times with offices, because, you know, it's going to take a while to build a rapport. It really is. They don't have a lot of time as it is. And they don't have a lot of time that they're not getting paid for. And taking some time, you know, where you're taking time out of their schedule that they can't bill for, that's really hard. You have to be really bright. You have to be really brief. And you have to know when your time's up to leave. Always start with hello. People forget that. Ask for their name. Hey, Mary, we're with nutraMetrix. Have you heard of us? Now, if they have, like, we don't have any territories, we don't have client lists, but we really have to keep the integrity of the business plan. And so we never want to step on anyone else's toes. If they say that they've been working with someone, I'll just say, oh, that person is so great. You know, we've now engaged in the front desk. We've asked a question. So if they have, I'll say, who you're working with. They might say, though, I think I've heard of you. I'm not really sure. You know, it might have been years ago. Or sometimes they get us confused with other people. But if they say that they haven't, that's fine. Listen, I was just in the area. I usually say that. I know you weren't expecting us. I was just next door. I'm a consultant with nutraMetrix. I've heard great things about this practice. I've worked with a lot of other practices in the area, really with a wide variety of wellness programs that can generate a significant cash-based revenue stream for the practice. I'm going to be back here on Thursday. I'd like to book a non-medical 15-minute, just get to know you quick, hello, how are you appointment with the provider. Are you the person that makes those appointments? That's usually what I ask. If they haven't too, I mean, I usually will just make sure I ask, like, what is the protocol? You might want to say it was recommended that we stop by, especially if someone did give you a referral. But I'd like to use that referral's name. One thing just to let you know is some primary care doctors can earn what's like almost reward money from the insurance companies that they're participating with for what's called population management, who provide excellent care and show really good metrics. This helps them earn extra income. It really helps them earn the income that they already deserve. So you might want to ask the gatekeeper if they participate with insurance companies that reward them for providing good metrics. Do your research ahead of time. Make sure you're not asking that of a practice that's cash-based, right? So you could do a little bit of digging. That's very important. We've talked about that already in prepping for these calls, you know, making sure that you're doing your due diligence. And collect their contact information, follow up, ask who's the person that really runs the practice, runs the management part of it? Is that the provider? Is it someone else? What's the best way to get in touch, phone or email? So I'm going to give you right here. You have these slides, you can download them, but really, a little bit, some information about what you can give them, like who you are, and to do in an email. It's rare. I mean, I will follow up with an email. It's rare. I don't put a lot of weight into it. It's rare that I'll get an email back. I'll just follow up and follow through and keep following up and following through. And being polite and persistent, it's going to win. You're going to win. So, if they ask questions about nutraMetrix, don't take it as a no. Don't take it as an objection. They're really just getting to put you in a bucket of, are you worth the time? Are you worth the time to meet? And you will get way more time based on relationships. They're just looking for a reason to say no. So the objective is not to tell them anything. The objective is to book an appointment so you can learn about their practice, to put together a customized solution to see if it's a fit for the office. So stick to it, focus here. That's the only objective, is to do that. And don't forget to have, some ready answer for what do you do. I usually like to tell stories. I talk in themes. I'll talk about themes about the economics of healthcare. I'll talk about how patients are asking questions and providers just don't know the answer. I'll talk about getting customer share in the wellness industry. It's a wellness revolution. This is what's changing. Patients are demanding more than what providers have. An education system, a turnkey system in the practice. I don't bring up product until the proposal. There's a wide variety of solutions we customize to suit the office. If you're someone who's interested in adding additional income, all we need to do is 15 minutes. I have to just gather some information to see if it's a fit. What's the protocol for booking a brief appointment? Try to find some common ground. Some doctors are big sports fans, some have no interest, some are boating, some have kids. Really look around, ask them some questions, figure it out. You got this. You've made friends before. I know you can do this. And so, don't be anyone that you're not. Be yourself. If you're not bubbly, don't try to be bubbly. If you don't know a whole lot about science, don't try to bring up science. Listen. Be with their conversation, blend in, get to know what their culture is. Ask questions, don't assume. If they say something and you don't know what it is, you don't know what they're talking about, just ask them. Don't assume that you know. Talk less, ask more. Listen, it's a conversation. This isn't a presentation, especially at the beginning. What if they say, okay, how about right now? Make sure you've gone ahead in your practice planning guide. You have your discovery meeting form. You've practiced it before. You're just asking for someone who's in charge of the financial aspects. What if, though, they say, okay, right now, bring it on. You're so ready. What are you going to expect? The gatekeeper might have some questions to try to find something that the HP is not interested in. And so then they can generalize it and they can dismiss it. They might ask you to leave material behind. Don't ask for the gatekeeper. They don't call themselves the gatekeeper. It's like the office manager, the receptionist, whoever's at the front desk. If the health professional doesn't take appointments, you can start with the office manager. That's okay. Your goal is not to convince the person at the front desk to carry nutraMetrix. Just to give them enough enticement to trust you to realize that what you have is worth 15 minutes. They might say, we only talk to reps who bring lunch in for the staff. That's simple. You're not a rep. You don't work for a company. You work for yourself. Don't have the budget, to bring in lunch, and you don't even need a whole time. I tell people, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I give the impression I needed the entire lunch hour. It's just a 15-minute appointment. I'll sometimes ask for, schedule right before they start their session, their second session after lunch. I've come in the morning before. I've come at the end of the day. I've been their last appointment. We're not a rep. We're unlike the rep situation. The rep's company is the only recipient of revenue. We have a mutually beneficial partnership. So loop back, keep asking for the appointment, keep asking for the appointment. I promise it's going to get easier each time you do that. Your goal is to book a discovery meeting. And so if you just keep asking what the protocol is, you will figure that out. Practice on family and friends. Get the words out of your mouth a couple times. And, you know, hang out with us on Facebook. We're going to give you more tips, more tricks. I really think your next step, if you haven't done this already, is to get into the Facebook group and just put it out there. I was on, you know, the webinar already on appointment setting 101. I'd love to role play. Who's up for it? Let's jump on a Zoom and role play together. Let's practice. Let's type out some things. Let's look at some people's Facebook profiles and how would we approach them. Let's do some research online before we, you know, call up these people, go into the meeting. It might even be a provider you know, but you still should look them up online, see what they're doing, see what's relevant. And when you get to that appointment, bring it up, especially if they post it online. This doesn't have to be like, oh, I'm going to pretend like I didn't Google them. In this age, I mean, I'm always surprised when people don't Google me before we meet together. I say, oh, I just assumed you would have Googled me. We had a meeting scheduled. And, you know, so go ahead and do that and, you know, try to make some common ground. See if you can find something you can relate to them with. And that's how you'll get the appointment. Just keep asking for help. I hope this is really great. And our next time that we meet here together, we're going to talk about prepping for that first appointment and what you're exactly going to say. Guys, how is that? Are you ready?